What's up, everyone? Welcome to my corner of the internet. I'm your host, Ryan Kramer, and this is Crossover Commerce, presented by Pingpong Payments, the leading global payments provider helping sellers keep more of their hard-earned money. What's up, everyone? Ryan Kramer with Crossover Commerce. Thanks again for joining us on another live episode. This is episode 40. We've hit another milestone, another 10 episodes in our book. This is season 2 for the first time. If this is your first time joining us live on either LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, thanks for joining us. We love to collaborate with our audience, and if they have questions about the topic we're covering or topics that we're going to be covering, especially today, feel free to comment below in the sections, whether you're watching on those social media platforms, or if you're watching this at a later time, go ahead and tag myself or our guest, and we'll be able to answer those questions later on. We'd love to have your thoughts, your input, any questions about the specific topic we're going to be covering, and we want to make sure we provide that information and get answers to you as best as possible. We also have this show, it'll go to a podcast format. So if you listen to podcasts on Amazon Music, which we actually just got updated to, so you can find us on Amazon as well, which is pretty cool, on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, all of the major platforms, even Google Podcasts. You can find and search just Crossover Commerce by Pingpong Payments, and you'll be able to hear all of our content that we talk about live on air. But I'm super excited today. We're talking about ungated categories, but also a little bit more than that, just optimization of listings and a little bit more about what this former seller, but also service provider is going to be kind of touching on today and what their specialty is. I'm super excited because there's just so much content going on in the space. Getting a different perspective is always great for our sellers and our listeners. So that being said, I'm going to bring on our guest for the day, Mac from Bestseller Listers. What's up, Mac? How are you?
Hey, Ryan. Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I know we were kind of like late. It was late last night because you're on the East Coast. We were just kind of going back and forth on, hey, how are we going to present today? Yeah. The different things that we were kind of touching on. And I thought you brought up some really cool points on just kind of the topic we're going to touch on today, but also the other areas you are specialty. I can't even talk to this morning. Specializing in. There we go. Waking up already. But you have so much experience, so I don't want to just dwell on one. I want to kind of talk a little bit about all these other areas. So I know that you posted and shared with your community out there. If they have questions for Mac, again, go ahead and put it in the comments. But why don't you kick us off for those of you who are listening for the first time and aren't familiar with you or your services or your background? Can you give us maybe like a quick introduction of yourself?
Yeah, I will try. So basically, my name is Mac Schlesinger. The company is Bestseller Listers. We specialize in creative services for Amazon sellers. I started my Amazon journey around, I think in 2011, 2012-ish. And I started through different types of businesses related to Amazon, which is drop shipping, retail arbitrage, and all types of business models there. And then at one point, I got into private label, as like almost everyone. So once I was in private label, I got to experience all the technical details, all the creative parts, and every part of the process. So then I came to realize, through a whole long process, that the creative part is my specialty, which is creating the listings, the photos, the graphics, the EBC, storefronts, anything creativity related. So at some point, one thing brought to the other, and then Bestseller Lister was born. So yeah.
No, that's really cool. So you were basically a seller for 8 years. What is that? Something that you're still currently doing? What's kind of that process? I'm assuming one answer, but why don't you give us? Are you still selling on Amazon?
No. So currently, I am not selling any products on Amazon. When I started the services business, I basically pivot. It wasn't like planned or anything. It just happened. So
just happens, right?
By the time I got into it, I got so busy with it. So and then I saw that this is my passion. This is my specialty. So I should focus on that. So I sold off all my products in the brand, whatever. And now I'm fully focused only on the services, helping others instead of myself.
No, that's fantastic. Hello for everyone who's watching on LinkedIn. Thanks for commenting and watching us live. Lots of people commenting and great things. Like everyone who's commenting, we appreciate the comments and questions. If you do have a question, go ahead and submit that, and we'll kind of throw them up as we're continuing to talk with Mac. So Mac, what products do you mind? Are you allowed to share what products and categories you were selling in?
So I was selling in sports and outdoors.
Okay.
Mainly like summer sports. It was a little bit seasonal, and like exercise, fitness, and that kind of stuff. So
interesting. So is there a reason that you got into it, or you just saw it was a non-competitive market? From a seller's perspective, what made you kind of jump in?
I don't know. I remember I followed a few courses and I followed some steps on how to do product research and try a few different products. I think I tried like 10 different products, and then I narrowed it down to a few that I thought that I feel most passionate about and it has like the most potential. And yeah, that's how I got in. It wasn't like planned or anything. Everything happened.
You just kind of worked itself out. It sounded like because you started, I would say you said 2012 is when you're doing the retail arbitrage and you kind of the drop shipping side of things. That's, I think a lot of people, I call it like the early part of the Amazon boom of when people are really starting to take off. So you got to kind of test the market and do all these different tactics, right? Like is that what kind of led you into the service side because you got to test the waters first, or what was kind of that initial move? Is it because you were first to market and you were kind of knowing the ropes as a seller that allowed you kind of to pivot to what you guys do today?
No, so I think it's once I got into private label, I started because when I started, I did everything myself. I couldn't afford to hire people or to outsource to a company like mine, so I did everything myself, from shipping, from sourcing, from listing, everything. So after doing it for a while, I realized that I started to see, okay, where am I spending my day? Like which task am I doing? Which task am I spending? And which tasks are the most appealing to me? Like which one am I best at? So after doing the research, I realized that creating the listings and creating the setting of the page and seeing beautiful visuals and graphics and the creative part and the keywords, the EBC. I mean, it was fun. I really loved it. And then a friend found out about it, so he hired me. I should do it for him, for his company, and then it went word of mouth to a few people around, a few friends, and then all of a sudden, I don't know how, but it became a company, and here we are.
So you basically people knew that you were being really successful in one space. You started to be referred to, and you found just. You were doing it for other people, and naturally you progressed into the service side of things. I think that's really neat. What's kind of the since you did it like when you started on Amazon to where it is currently, what are kind of your thoughts about like the changes that have happened as a third-party seller? Are you still telling people, hey, it's easy to kind of sell on Amazon still? What are your kind of best tips that you're telling people if they're just a beginner seller or they're progressing and they want to grow their business?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely totally different from when I started. And since I'm in the service business, people keep on calling me, like newbies and all types of sellers are calling me every day. So regarding the questions about newbies, people that want to start on Amazon or people that have products they're selling somewhere like in stores or whatever, and they ask me about Amazon, I just tell them the honest truth. It's not like it used to be 5 years ago. It's definitely much harder. And I try to tell them like what makes it harder and like all the fees and all the kind of competition and all the rules by Amazon. We go through the whole thing, and because I want to make sure that they are really ready for it before they go in, and not just jump in and after 3 months they find out, oh, where I put myself in. This is not for me. This is whatever. So I want to make it 100% clear with them where they're going into. They should be ready and prepared and see if it's really what they're looking for.
Right. So you almost like as a service provider, you're giving these tips to people. Have you ever developed like a course? You said you learned a lot from courses and other content out there. Is that something you've ever done or put together kind of a step-by-step process of like best practices to like either share with people, or has that ever been brought to light or a thought for you?
No, I was thinking about it. I mean, people keep on telling me do this, do that, because I really love it. Thank you, everyone, if you're watching. But so basically, what I'm trying to do is, for example, I have on WhatsApp, the WhatsApp platform, that the statuses. So I try to make like a platform over there where people can subscribe and just watch my statuses, which I share like every day, like all the latest tips and tricks and news and ideas that really relates to Amazon.
Yeah, and yeah, you were mentioning to me because you kind of got. I've been getting more into WhatsApp, and for those of you who don't know what WhatsApp is, it's a messaging platform, obviously, where people can connect with each other. Whether it's like a messenger, Facebook owns it, I believe, or purchased it, and they're sharing, content. It's able to. It's like texting internationally or anything like that. Just more messaging, content sharing platform. So Mac, you do a lot of business through WhatsApp. What about this platform kind of allows you to? Is it just because it's a group that you could share internationally with people, or what's kind of the benefit of going through an app like WhatsApp?
So WhatsApp in general has a lot of features that none other platform has, which is, first of all, the whole communication with the voice notes and messages and pictures and everything going back and forth. And also the statuses. The status is a big deal because it's like it's something that it gives you like a platform where you can share your life, your business, your values, your samples, anything, and hundreds of people or thousands of people can see it. And it's also it's very direct. It's not like LinkedIn. You post it on LinkedIn and they only show you for like a few of your connections. You might have 20,000 connections, but mainly only like a 2,000 of them or even less might see it. But the WhatsApp is like very direct. Everyone is having their phone is on their phone all day. Everyone's looking at all their WhatsApp messages, and everyone's watching the statuses. So it goes direct. You're not missing anything. So
I mean, that makes sense to me because like that's the thing with our show is I know we have a community and followers of like 25,000 people, and only so many people will see it at a given time. They'll be pinged, or if they don't have those notifications, a text, or like you mentioned, just notifications. You're more opting into those kinds of solicited messages. What do you have any, like, maybe we can go down this road a little bit. What are some best practices if a seller or like a service provider is listening to this? What are some best practices for people to communicate through WhatsApp?
So it's first of all it's always good to have like a separate WhatsApp account. WhatsApp has like a special WhatsApp for business. So it's a different app than the regular WhatsApp, and they give you much more like flexibility and options. For example, you can set like business hours. You can set auto replies. And you can set like greeting messages. So there's a lot of stuff. You can also showcase your services, like your services on your profile. So that's definitely one thing. Was in the beginning when I started, I only had like one personal WhatsApp, and everything was done there. But then I realized that it's getting mixed up with all the family messages and the friends and business. I wasn't sure. So then once I opened the WhatsApp for business, everything was split. So now I'm focusing on personal. Now I'm focusing on business. So I can choose what I want to focus on, and I know this platform is only for business. So whatever messages I'm getting there is is business related.
That makes sense. I mean, because we're in a communication. I mean, obviously, it's super easy to get in touch with people. I feel like as a seller or service provider myself, lots of people are reaching out via Messenger or like Instagram Messenger. If you can kind of funnel it through one major one, you can kind of like set those like boundaries of, hey, I will office hours. This is when I can talk to you, or this is when I can communicate. And you don't miss all those notifications because there's so many ways that people are talking to each other around the world and how we can communicate. Unlike even back in 2012 when you first started, I'm sure is just like emails and phone calls. Now is kind of diversified and kind of grown. What about like as an Amazon seller, can you give us like your best practices? Like if Amazon sellers, should they use WhatsApp? Is that a best way to kind of go about customer service, or should they just use through Seller Central? What's the way to use WhatsApp for that?
So for a seller, I mean, there's not much like an option they can do with Amazon directly, like a customers on Amazon or seller support. It's mainly like for the basically to learn. It's
Okay.
A lot of it is to being on the groups. There's a lot of WhatsApp groups that which has like a lot of Amazon sellers, which they communicate every day. Everyone is posting their issues or their whatever, anything related, and it's always good to be there and see what's going on in the Amazon world. And then also for us, I mean, that's why I implemented WhatsApp as a main source of contact us. Instead of just emailing or using the contact us form on a website, I implemented WhatsApp, which is very personal because people are always on the phone, especially Amazon sellers. They're always on the go and on the phone. So it's very convenient to let people contact me. I mean, I have a separate WhatsApp account for my project manager. So it's always like very convenient. We can just like hear voice notes and send pictures back and forth, samples. So it's very convenient instead of email. Email is very like, email is very generic, but WhatsApp is more like personal. You don't have to waste time on phone calls and meetings and stuff. You can do everything with voice notes, and it's very flexible. I mean, sometimes I can answer voice notes. I can answer messages on WhatsApp like 11 or 12 o'clock at night because it's I have it on my phone, so why not? It just it's very convenient. I think so.
Exactly. And now that's how we were communicating. So it was definitely convenient to know I wasn't missing emails. I know I mute my emails after a certain time of night. So if I don't reply to people and they're probably wondering why isn't he emailing me at 1 a.m. Eastern or something like that, there's a reason, because I mute those things. If WhatsApp, if you have those notifications on, it's either an urgent matter or someone directly is trying to reach out to you. That's super interesting. Thanks for sharing those kind of tips for our audience. But one of the things about bestseller listers that you're kind of touting on your website is both listing optimization, and then also kind of the general topic we wanted to touch on today was kind of those ungated communities. Can you kind of break down for us not communities, ungated categories, for people who don't know what an ungated category is? Can you just high level educate our listeners? What is it? Why does it seem like it's blocked off, and why it matters in terms of you beginning a seller journey, why you should pay attention if it is gated or not?
Yeah, I mean, I will try. I mean, I'm not really the top expert when it comes to the ungated categories, but after I'm doing it as a service, so
right, exactly. You partner and you have other individuals who are helping other categories, but just on a high level for people who maybe just intrigued, hey, I didn't even know what an ungated or a gated category is. Maybe we can touch high level on that kind of stuff for them.
So basically, for those that have no idea what the ungated categories are, so it's Amazon has a list of categories and products and subcategories, which are they basically restricted. So you have to get approved. You have to apply for it and get approved to sell in these categories. For example, think watches, supplements, what else? Some of the electronics, lighting, whatever, and medical devices. So basically, there's a whole list of, I think, 30 or 35 or even more restricted categories. So in order to sell in that categories, you have to go through application. Every category has a different process. You have to go to the application and then get approved, and then you can sell any product in that category. So
and there's a list on Amazon's Seller Central site that you actually have to get approval, and a lot of it is just copyrights, like you said, or there's strict regulations and safety concerns for that. So, but when you're touting why is it profitable for people? You can get access to sell in those categories. Do you find that a lot of sellers who come to you guys, is it worth their time or effort, that you would say, or is it something that people should, even as a first-time seller, maybe step back and stay away from? What would be your personal opinion on that?
So it really depends the way you start your business. If you start your business as you want to become an Amazon seller, you don't know your product, you're just choosing any product, then it's better obviously to stay away. So you can avoid spending money on getting these categories ungated and wait for it and have the risk of having it being restricted again. So it's always better to start on an open category so you can test the waters, test the market. But if your enemy is selling a specific product and you're selling it to stores, or you're selling, or you're making a handmade, or whatever the thing is, your enemies have the product and you want to sell it on Amazon, then obviously if it's restricted, then you will have to go through the process. And that's also, it's part of our services, which we help people get get approved for this categories to make it easy. But
absolutely. Yeah, and those were my questions. Obviously, in that capacity, it's a specific category, maybe not for first-time sellers, but maybe for more experienced sellers, where you do get approval, but it's a strict, like, correct me if I'm wrong, it's very strict in terms of like the rules and regulations you have to, in terms of your listing, in terms of like which products you can work with. And then obviously if those get infringed upon, Amazon will kick you out pretty quickly, right?
Right. So some categories are easier, some categories are harder. I mean, the harder categories is usually because they're trying to avoid people from selling counterfeit products or products that they, different. They're basically trying to control it. Like it should only be like a certain amount of brands, certain amount of products. So there's a few reasons why they just restrict certain categories. I mean,
right.
I think the main part is on the counterfeit thing, and especially when it comes to safety, like for example, toys and baby categories. In baby categories, there's a few subcategories which you have to apply for each separate application for each subcategory, because they want to make sure that it's really like safe and it's baby approved, whatever. So it's like
it's basically to protect the consumer. I would say to protect the consumer at the end of the day, because
that's all.
Yeah, well, and because if you think about it, Amazon back when they were kind of exploding on the market, when they were selling not just books anymore, it was more like all these different categories. It was almost, I always call it the Wild West back in like 2014, 2016, 2018, kind of like that time frame when you didn't know what tactic was going to be good, but you could almost sell literally anything. But now it's kind of like rolled it back because Amazon has to protect itself, but also protecting the consumer at the end of the day, which is what they tout is protect the consumer, protect the customer. With those kinds of things, they're hard to regulate. And if they are not monitoring, and those are the ones that are more likely to get either flagged or, whether it's dangerous or whether it's consumable or anything like that, they have to protect themselves, but also sellers too. So I think that's why they put it in there. Is there other but apart from those kind of like restricted categories, what would you consider right now for sellers who are just starting out? What's the most difficult category to sell in?
So it's mainly the baby products, because they want to make sure that they have all the safety protocols. That your product is approved for that. And then it's like topicals, all types of creams and facial products, because they want to make sure it's not like a counterfeit or something that doesn't work or something that can affect the skin. It's dangerous. And then there's like as small as that one. And then there's like a lot of, for example, the pesticides category. And right now, since the Corona situation, they also restricted the personal safety. Medical device,
PPE, yeah,
PPE products. So that's the toughest. I mean, it's almost impossible to get in.
So yeah, just almost avoid those, or if you're going to, you got to have a strong stomach to like overcome objectives and objections and problems with like them taking down your listing or whatnot. Yeah. But when you're working with consumers, you're working with them more optimizing their listings, and I kind of want to get more into that kind of side, is because that's kind of where your strongest suits are. What got you into kind of the copywriting, the listing side of things, and where were you at the beginning stages? How are you knowing that like, hey, this is successful, I can help people optimize it and take it to like either the top of their category or their keyword that they want to rank for? What's kind of that story from your perspective of, is it just because you've written so many categories, or are you just like that consistent nature, or where does that expertise come from?
Yeah, so as we discussed earlier, so when I started selling on private label, I did everything myself. So that's when I did all the listings myself, all the writing, all the pictures, and everything. So that's when I realized that's my main specialty, and that's what I like doing. And especially, I mean, it was mostly other people telling me that. So that's why I got the confidence in doing it. And for example, I went to work after starting my private label company. Someone hired me to do it for them. Like they had like a huge company, like a multi-million-dollar company, and they hired me to redo all of the listings and stuff. And they saw such a huge increase in sales that they never experienced before, and they never realized the importance of having a really good listing, like the content, the keywords, the pictures. And I was able to do that, and because I was focusing only on that, I wasn't busy with all the importing and the other aspects when it comes to selling on Amazon. I was focusing strictly on that, So that's when I realized that this is what I love doing, and this is what I'm good at. So so people started finding out about this. I still don't know how. Started referring my name to each other. So that's so I decided, I'm always busy with that. So I quit the job, and I started doing it for everyone. So I started doing it by myself, and then I had to hire good copywriters and photographers and graphic designers, and now we work with a team of like around 15 people, with a combination of different copywriters and keyword experts, and graphic designers and project managers and custom, so whatever, everything to.
You started really growing from there, right? Yeah, that's fantastic. So what about listings? So you really hone in on obviously listings, and that's what you're good at. Maybe for our audience who either are doing it themselves or they're looking for service providers that they don't know what is it that they might not be doing that's working or not working. What is it from your perspective of what actually converts when you're looking at a listing or product XYZ? What is it that you hammer home to your customers? Like, hey, this is what's going to convert. Are you honed in on the copy? Are you honed in on the pictures? I know a little bit of everything. What's the most important aspect of someone's listing?
Yeah, so I usually try to make like a combination of all, because we have to target all types of customers. Some customers buy from reading content. Some customers buy from seeing pictures. So you want to make sure that you target everyone, so you don't miss, you don't lose anyone because you lacked on either spending the money or spending the time on perfecting it. So you also have to make sure either the content, the keywords, and the pictures, the graphics, everything has to be on.
So when if you have an expertise in one category, is it not just one? Are you feel like, hey, a listing is going to speak to different people in different voices? Does that make sense? Like if you are in the baby category, you have to have a different voice and perspective of what you're telling to that potential customer, versus if you have like outdoor goods and sporting equipment. Did those voices change depending on that perspective?
Yeah, it definitely changed. I mean, even for the same product, you could choose to target a different type of customer base. I don't know. I'm trying to think of an idea of a sample product that we did recently. Whatever. If I remember, I will.
It's okay. Yeah, just jump right in and spout it out.
So it's basically it's part of doing the right research, like researching your competitors and researching the market in general, not only on Amazon but everywhere, like on Google, on all those Shopify sites. You can read so much information on each product, and each product can have so many different like target audiences, and you have to choose like which one you want to target and focus on that, like do the whole writing on that, and basically and make sure to talk to them. It's like you own a local store, and people come into the store, and you want to talk to them directly, and they should feel like you're talking to them. So and that's why it's also very, very important to write a listing very personal and not too professional or too high vocabulary English, because it doesn't really speak to people, especially like average people that are buying Amazon. So it has to talk to like they have to feel like you're the salesman, and you're talking to them and you're convincing them to buy the product, and explaining them why it's going to help them with their problem. So yeah.
Are you guys specifically focused on the .com marketplace? Are you guys working internationally on different marketplaces as well?
Yeah, so it's mainly the .com, because that's where we are. But we work with different companies that do like the translation services, which is like if you're selling in other marketplaces, they take their .com listing and they translate it into Germany or UK, whatever other marketplace.
Is there a marketplace that you guys are looking to potentially like move it more into? Do you see that your services would benefit like a Canada or a Mexico or Australia or anything like that? Well, what's kind of that future look like for you as a company and a service provider?
Yeah, so when it comes to content and the creative part, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be like specific for one marketplace. It can be for everything, because the pictures can be used on all marketplaces. So that's why we do try to focus on the .com. We try not to go all over, and focus on that. Do a perfect listing for that, and then you can pivot from there, like either translate or change around stuff. And
very cool. I mean, that makes sense, because obviously if there's for everyone who obviously knows it, if they are selling on Amazon or in different e-commerce platforms, .com is the biggest, like most eyeballs, the biggest marketplace currently right now in terms of like spending and traffic. Us as an international company, we always tout like there's obviously other opportunities in different marketplaces. And I think the keyword that I always tout to anyone where I'm speaking on or on just the show in general is the word diversify. And I feel like that's super important for e-commerce sellers and Amazon sellers specifically to understand and be ready to be diversified. And what I mean by that, Mac, and maybe you can throw in some of your own perspective, is when you have things that happen like 2020 happened, whether it was they weren't accepting goods or services, or goods, I should say, and they were just only accepting essential goods in their warehouses. For a lot of sellers, they saw this wave of like a dip in business, and there was no other way to get their sales out there. Whether it was they didn't have their own branded store, they weren't on other marketplaces. There was just no way to get goods into Amazon.com's warehouses. On the flip side of that, Amazon has been fluctuating all their different inventory levels, which is pretty frustrating for new sellers, but also seasoned sellers who are trying to launch new products. And I know you guys do a little bit of launching services as well. So when a customer comes to you with those kinds of, concerns, what are you kind of touting to them in terms of like how to forecast those kinds of things, and so that they may not happen to them?
Yeah, I mean the shipping inventory to Amazon has been an issue. I mean, I think it's still an issue these days. Since it started, because it's basically they're trying to avoid like overflowing their warehouses. I mean, it's still unclear why they're doing it, why they're not expanding the warehouses. But I'm sure there are reasons, but I'm not so into that. But there's definitely sure. It's always good to start Amazon.com and then expand from there. I think that there are so many softwares out there which takes your Amazon listing and throws it on all other marketplaces, which eBay, Amazon, Walmart, and other.
Is there a marketplace that you're excited for the growth of e-commerce in general? Which one are you most excited for?
I mean, obviously it's mainly Walmart, but I'm still like debating because it keeps on exciting me, and then it keeps on saying, "Oh, come on again."
It's a letdown.
Yeah, grow it out, get somewhere.
So maybe what's if the way you see it, because you've been in the space in different capacities, what are the pros maybe for sellers if they can get on Walmart, and then what are the cons that they just aren't living up to the same capacity as maybe an Amazon or a different marketplace like a Wish or a Rakuten that's more established? I would say .com for Walmart is established, but it seems like no one's really cracked the nut in terms of like Walmart.com and can forecast the consistency that they would bring in terms of a marketplace.
Yes. So first of all, before you go away from Amazon, it's also recommended, especially these days, to make sure that every listing that you have also has like an FBM listing, because it seems like lately they're trying to promote the FBM listings instead of the FBA because they're trying to prevent FBA shipments. So sellers always have to make sure to have another like a duplicate listing of that listing as FBM, and you'd be surprised like how many sales you can get. I mean, obviously you have to be ready for it. You have to have a team, space and warehouse and workers and whatever the labor to
fulfill all those orders, right?
So that's definitely the first step. Once you're on Amazon, don't go away. I mean, stay there and make sure you get you're fully ready.
You're adding on instead of subtracting, like starting there and then moving all operations away from it. Yeah, you're adding on top of the .com.
Yeah, and then it's once you're ready to go out. I mean, it's always good to go to the big one first, like Walmart, eBay, and then go to the old small ones, like for example Etsy. I've seen sellers being very successful on Etsy. Although Etsy is like specifically for like custom handmade products, but still people are getting a lot of sales. I mean, I'm sure it depends on the category of products, but there's a big market there. And same thing as anything. I mean, in business I always like to be, I don't like to miss out on any opportunity. So that's why as a seller I will be on every platform.
Absolutely.
But the only problem is that sometimes if you work by yourself or you have a small team, if you're busy with other marketplaces, it can take away the focus from the main marketplace, which is Amazon. So it's always good to have like these days it's so easy to find like a VA or a cheap worker that you can afford that should focus on each marketplace, like fully focus on that, so you don't lose focus on the main brand and butter.
Absolutely. What because the other service that kind of like you tout on, and we've had a couple people talk about like launches, launching new products, and for that I feel like that's always the number one like hardest thing for sellers to figure out, like the best strategies, because there's, as everyone knows, there's like above board, there's like gray hat, white hat, black hat. Obviously, your services are trying to bring the best within terms of services, recommendations to launch products. How are you as a service provider? What are you telling your customers? These are the best ways and most effective ways to launch products, get visibility, and then obviously from there, either ride the listing wave or the PPC wave, and then almost like a rocket, right? You start the rocket, and once that fuel runs out, how are you continuing that momentum with their products? Is there some tips that you can share with us? Nothing insider secret, but like, how are you as a company helping people with that?
Yes. So obviously the first steps, the first things first is which is to make sure that your listing looks 100%. It's basically like opening a local store. Before going out and doing all the marketing, everything, make sure your store looks beautiful and inviting and accepting. So that's the first thing, because I see so many sellers that they're trying to do everything, but they miss out they're not focusing and really focus on the real source, which is the listing page. So that's the most important. Make sure that your page looks beautiful, everything is good. You have 7 images. Maybe if you want to add a video, if you can afford that, add it in. Make sure the page looks 100%, and then the next step is to do the marketing, which is obviously the first thing is the Amazon PPC, is to set it up. I mean, it's always good to learn as a seller. It's always good to learn and know it a little bit, even though you outsource to the company. But if you don't have time for it, or you don't know everything 100%, there are so many companies out there you can outsource it to. You can manage it, and set up your ads and manage it for you. So that's the first thing. You just load up the listing and just turn on the ignition, which is the PPC, and then we will always recommend to run product launches, which is like a sort of giveaways. I mean, some people might look at it as gray hair, but it's not really. I mean, after all, Amazon themselves, they have their own like a giveaway platform, because they also believe that in order to succeed, you must do it. I mean, there's no way you can list a product today and start getting sales, because especially in competitive products, because you might list your listing today and then find it on the 20th page. How are you going to get it on the first page so quick? I mean, you might do only PPC and wait a few months and spend a lot of money, or you can spend that money on giveaways, which is, it might cost a little bit more upfront, but the long term thing is like the results are much more effective organically and quicker.
Yeah, and I posted a question for our audience. If you're listening on, again, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, and you're watching this, if you have a question, or maybe you can comment, what do you struggle with most when you're launching a product? Again, if you have questions, other specific ones from Mac, go ahead and submit those through the comment section, and we'll be able to most definitely answer those live, or we can tag Mac later on and give you the contact information. We'll make sure you walk away with from this show how to get in touch with him if you have other specific questions. So yeah, for the audience, go ahead and submit what do you struggle with when launching a product. We'd love to hear your thoughts and comments there. So when you as a service provider, you kind of expanded your product offering. What gets you excited about working in the industry that you currently work in every single day? Is it the people you work with? Is it the ability to grow a business? What is it from that drives you every single day to kind of get up and say, like, today's going to be another good day. I'm excited to do what I do.
Yeah, it's mainly the idea of services versus selling products. And also years ago when I was selling products, I didn't really felt like the passion, even though I was making sales, making money, but I didn't feel like that. It felt like the personal, this, okay, I'm coming into the office, there's more sales, I have to be busy with this and that. But when it comes to the services, I feel really passionate. even though sometimes business can be slow, it can be hard, and you're dealing with a hard client, but still I feel like I'm helping people, and people, and especially when I get back the results from the clients, the results from our hard work, it really makes me feel like accomplished and satisfied.
Yeah, I think that's why, especially the service providers, especially like Pingpong, we get into it because we're here to obviously save people money, and we want people to obviously grow their business further. And that's where I get my background has always been in the service provider space. I've been with companies who have sold products on Amazon, but also different marketplaces and just on different like platforms. But also been in the service provider space with Viral Launch, and then now obviously with Pingpong. So I think that there's this like, if you walk away and you give these inside tricks or tips, I should say, not tricks, like you're not tricking Amazon or anything, just tips, how other people have been successful, you're relaying that information and you're helping them grow. I think there's a fulfilling nature to that, that you're helping people out. And I think that there's always as a seller, you can obviously have 7, 8, 9 figure years, months, and be like a successful entrepreneur, but helping those people get to where they are, it really gives that self satisfaction, I should say. Yeah. What about maybe if we like recapped on 2020, what was the most difficult thing that you as a not a seller, but as a service provider, what did you have to overcome either professionally or as a business, and have to just overcome it, whether it was like, no events or no clients had to cancel, or they just didn't do business anymore? What was the most difficult thing for you in that capacity?
So for me personally, it was, I think, when everything started. I think when it all started in China, so that's when all the factories closed down. So basically, since everything China got affected, so the sellers couldn't order more products, like bring in new products. And so that's when it affected me personally. I mean, my business, because we make our money from people that bring the stuff from China, and we basically creating the listing for them. So if there's no new product, there's no business. So I think like in when was it, like March, February, March.
Yeah, it was around March, I think, when the United States shut down.
Yeah, so that's when it was difficult. And that's when I went into other side things that I tried to keep on. But then once it opened back again, I mean, it started booming. I mean, Amazon was I think e-commerce in general was the most successful category or industry in the
still growing. Yeah, I like to tout we grew 5 years worth of like growth in one, or even half a year, just because of the need for e-commerce bringing directly to consumer. Not people are going out to retail. Both in like grocery, both in services. There's so many different ways. If you had a service digitally, that's where I like to tell is like that growth was super fast, and I think is going to continue on. Maybe for 2021, like we're coming to the top of the hour, like before we cap it off, what are your predictions? Kind of like more, what's getting you excited about this new year? Is it a specific feature or function that Amazon might be rolling out, or is it more growth in certain areas? What's getting you excited for this new year?
Yeah, I think it's the overall idea that what Corona did to companies, especially the retail companies or local companies, is it forced them to realize that online is the way to go. You either way have to have some kind of presence online. Some people until now people will say, nah, it's fine. We focus on our story. We focus on our whatever local thing. We don't need online. But now people were like kind of forced that they have to go in because their stores were shut or whatever. We have so many orders, like so many clients that came to us, like they never dealt with them, or they never dealt with online selling, but now they're kind of forced to do it. So I think, and going forward, people will always realize that online is a must. It's not like an option, or it's another source of income. It's like the future, hopefully. I mean,
yeah, it just brings to light what a lot of us in the space, like you said, you started so early on, and I would say as a seller, and kind of saw that forecasting, like that's how business grows, and you ride that wave. I think you'll see a lot of success. A lot of sellers I know saw great success in 2020. Doesn't mean everyone did, but I think a lot of people saw a lot of great success, and that's showing light if people aren't on Amazon or different marketplaces that there is opportunity. And person who came on last Friday, Chris Freiberger, he said, even as a service provider, if you need to pivot and say, like, I'm an expert in Amazon in this capacity, you're going to have a lot of people knocking on your door to help, like you said, with bestseller listers, just getting your listings up, optimized so that they can rank and do well and convert those sales to people. There are just not enough services out there to kind of handle all the Amazon sellers in the space where they can bring best practices to light. And that's where I think you're successful and where you're going to continue to be successful as a not just entrepreneur, but as a service provider. So with that, I want to thank you so much for kind of spending and taking the time to kind of share your insights on the space. I know high level, we touched on a bunch of different topics. You have so much expertise in different areas. So I want to thank you again for joining us on Crossover Commerce. And I always say people who come on the show, they're now a friend of the show. They can always hop on, comment, post. If they want to share their content with us, you're more than welcome to come on and with other guests. I have people on all the time who are like, hey, I have a question or have a different idea about that. You're more than welcome to hop on anytime. But before we end, what are the best ways for our audience, if they're listening and they want to learn more, how do they get in touch with you? Best ways to remind them.
So the best place to contact me is obviously the WhatsApp that we spoke before, which is oh, you got it. Oh wow, that's magic. How did it pop up?
Look at that. Producing and listening at the same time. I'm getting good at this, right?
Nice.
Yeah, for everyone on for listening on our podcast, the WhatsApp app number 845-288-1740. Obviously, that is Mac's WhatsApp contact information. He's been contacting me back and forth. We're sending information and learning from each other. But you also have a business account, correct? Is there one where you're constantly putting out Amazon listings ideas?
Yeah. So this is the business one. This is the
business one. Okay.
Yeah. So this is where you can watch the statuses and to stay up to date with the latest Amazon news and articles, anything related to Amazon, and also for the customer service, for anything, for any advice you need, you can just always message me, either text or voice note or anything.
And for everyone, again, listening on the podcast, bestsellerlisters.com is the website where all the different services that you provide, the keys, obviously any kind of insight that you can give to people. Follow Mac also on LinkedIn. I find it very, not just funny, but you make everything super personable on the videos you post, on all the different content that you're posting, just from the different perspectives of people. I laugh because I know David in the group that you were with recently, and the community in general. I think, again, if you have questions, you have been super kind to like answer questions for myself or just other people that I know for a fact if they have questions about a specific area that you're going to reach out and you're going to make sure that you understand them and can help them out. So I appreciate your time today, Mac, and all the different things that you're doing. Good luck in 2021. And obviously we'll have you on to kind of touch on different topics throughout the year if that's something you're interested in. But other than that, we would thanks again for joining us today. Yeah,
thank you. Listen, it was my honor, and I hope I shared enough valuable content for your viewers and the audience.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's super, like we're always dropping different nuggets throughout the year and different capacities. But again, thank you, Mac, for joining us. This is Crossover Commerce. Thanks again for everyone who is watching live with us. If you didn't get a chance to watch it live, go ahead and rewatch it on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. Follow Pingpong Payments in those different verticals. You can follow me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all the different social media platforms. I'm constantly posting content for e-commerce as well as Amazon as well. But we're going live again every day this week. So tomorrow we'll have more content. We're talking about EPC content. What is it? How we can A+ content, kind of going through the details of that and why it's super important. We alluded a little bit to it today. We'll hit on it more tomorrow with Danny Carlson of Kenji ROI. So join us live again tomorrow. We're going late tomorrow because of people are around the world. We have to make sure that we can touch all the different audiences. So we'll go later tomorrow. And then we have a couple other seller spotlights. And we're talking PPC bulk files on Friday. Super excited about that. Thanks again for joining us live. I'm Ryan Kramer. This is Crossover Commerce. And we'll see you guys again next time.